They said we were gone, erased, forgotten. A whisper swallowed by the dark between galaxies. The universe had exhaled and humanity had been exhaled with it. When Sol, our sun, had finally collapsed, a dying ember in the cosmic hearth, the universe had not mourned. Instead, it had cheered. The architects, those ancient beings of pure logic and sterile order, called it the cleansing. The sprawling, indifferent empires that dotted the galactic map, built on eons of calculated existence, had erected monuments to our extinction, celebrating the removal of a chaotic variable. But they never understood what we are. They saw a species tied to a single star, a fragile experiment destined to fail. They saw flesh and bone, fleeting lives, and predictable patterns of ambition and self-destruction. They never saw the spark. Humanity is not a world or a flag or a name written in the dirt of a dying planet. We are the spark that refuses to die. We are the stubborn ember that glows in the deepest ash, the defiant flicker against the encroaching void. Our cradle had been shattered, our history deliberately fragmented, our very existence deemed an anomaly to be corrected. Yet in the desolate, forgotten fringes of the galaxy, in the treacherous, debris-strewn expanse known as the Arcos Belt, 80,000 survivors kept that spark alive. They were the children of the wreckage, born not under a nurturing sun, but amidst the groaning metal and flickering emergency lights of ships that had once orbited Sol. Their lullabies were the rhythmic thrum of failing engines and the crackle of static prayers whispered into the void. Their sky was not a canvas of stars, but a graveyard of celestial bodies, a constant, grim reminder of what had been lost. For 1,000 years, the descendants of Sol lived in the Arcos Belt. Their world was a tapestry of salvaged metal, repurposed technology, and desperate ingenuity. They were the scavengers of a dead star system, their lives dictated by the constant struggle for resources and survival. The grand empires and the logical architects had long forgotten them, dismissing the Arcos Belt as a graveyard, a place where even the echoes of life had faded. But they were wrong. The 80,000 survivors were not merely existing. They were enduring. They remembered, not through pristine historical records, for those had been the first casualties of the Great Silence War, but through oral traditions, through the worn carvings on bulkheads, through the songs sung in hushed tones that spoke of blue skies, green fields, and a warmth called sun. They remembered the faces the universe chose to forget. They passed down the stories of Earth, not as history lessons but as sacred texts, fueling a deep-seated yearning for a home they had never known. Their technology was a testament to their resilience. They didn't build sleek, new vessels. They rebuilt. They took the shattered husks of generation ships, of orbital habitats, of forgotten defense platforms, and fused them together. Their ships were patchwork behemoths, their hulls a chaotic mosaic of mismatched alloys, their engines a symphony of strained, repurposed power cores. They learned to coax life from dying systems, to forge new suns, not celestial bodies, but contained fusion cores out of the wreckage of what had been left behind. Their existence was a constant act of defiance against entropy, a testament to the stubborn refusal of the human spirit to be extinguished. The Arcos Belt was a place of perpetual twilight, illuminated by the dim glow of salvaged fusion cores and the distant, cold light of nebulae. For centuries, the 80,000 survivors had lived in relative isolation, their existence a closely guarded secret. They had honed their skills, their bodies, and their collective will, preparing for a day they could only dream of. They had learned to navigate the treacherous debris fields, to extract sustenance from the void, and to fight with a ferocity born of desperation. Then, the signal rose. It wasn't a broadcast in the conventional sense, not a message transmitted across subspace. It was something deeper, something more primal. It began as a subtle resonance, a vibration that seemed to emanate from the very core of their salvaged civilization. It grew, coalescing into a powerful, unified pulse, a cry that rippled outwards, not just through the Arcos Belt, but through the fabric of space itself. It was a sound that had been building for 1,000 years, a collective yearning, 1,000 generations of memory and defiance compressed into a single, resonant wave. It spoke of loss, of endurance, and of an unyielding promise. It was the sound of a species refusing to remain a ghost. Across the vastness of the galaxy, in the sterile halls of the architects and the opulent citadels of the ancient empires, the signal was detected. It was an anomaly, an unexpected ripple in the ordered silence they had so carefully constructed. It was a sound they had believed impossible, a pulse that said, "We are still here." The architects, beings of pure, crystalline intellect, perceived the cry not as a sound, but as a disruption in the universal harmony they so meticulously maintained. Their vast computational networks, designed to predict and control every cosmic event, flagged the signal as an anomaly of unprecedented magnitude. It originated from the Arcos Belt, a region they had long ago classified as a graveyard, devoid of any significant sentient life. Analysis complete, a synthesized voice echoed through their central nexus. Origin, Sector 7G, Arcos Belt. Life signs detected, 80,000. Technological signature, primitive, salvaged, yet exhibiting advanced energy manipulation and structural integrity beyond expected parameters. Signal composition, complex, multi-layered resonance exhibiting patterns consistent with collective consciousness and historical data retrieval. The architects processed this information with cold, emotionless efficiency. 80,000 primitive beings. Yet their signal was resonating across galactic sectors, a phenomenon that should have been impossible. The architects had decreed humanity extinct after the collapse of Sol, a necessary cleansing to maintain cosmic order. They had ensured that all records, all traces of human civilization were systematically eradicated. Yet, here was proof of their survival, and not just survival but a deliberate, unified broadcast. The human anomaly, one architect communicated telepathically to another, its thoughts like the chime of perfectly tuned crystals. Their extinction was deemed necessary for universal stability. Their persistence is illogical. The empires, alerted by the architect's unease, began to stir. Their historical archives, though purged of human records, contained fragmented warnings of a species known for its unpredictable resilience, its capacity for both great destruction and fervent creation. They remembered the madness that had made humanity a threat to their ordered existence. The architects, for the first time in millennia, felt a flicker of something akin to apprehension. The signal from the Arcos Belt was not just a broadcast. It was a declaration. It said, "We remember," and it carried with it the chilling implication, "and we are coming home." The signal was more than just a broadcast. It was a call to arms, a 1,000-year-old promise finally being fulfilled. For the 80,000 souls in the Arcos Belt, the cry was the culmination of generations of sacrifice, memory, and unwavering hope. They had lived in the shadows, their existence a testament to human endurance, their bodies and minds forged in the crucible of loss. Now they emerged. Their fleet, a terrifying armada of patchwork vessels, bristled with salvaged weaponry and jury-rigged defenses. These were not the gleaming warships of the galactic empires, but monstrous creations born of necessity and defiance. Each ship was a testament to their struggle, bearing the scars of 1,000 years of survival. They were the children of the ashes, a generation that had never known a sun, but understood the fierce, burning light of defiance. Their leader was not a king or a president, but a council of elders, those who carried the purest memories of Earth, their voices raspy with age and the weight of history. They guided the fleet, their decisions tempered by the wisdom of survival and the burning desire for reclamation. Among them was Anya, a young woman whose lineage traced back to the last scientist who had witnessed Sol's collapse, her mind filled with fragmented knowledge of forgotten technologies. And Kale, a warrior whose ancestors had fought in the final, desperate battles before the flight into the Arcos Belt, his heart filled with a righteous fury. As the fleet began its slow, inexorable journey towards the core worlds, towards the very heart of the empires that had celebrated their demise. A palpable fear began to spread. The architects, with their cold logic, could not comprehend this resurgence. The empires, accustomed to predictable adversaries, were thrown into disarray. They had built monuments to humanity's extinction, and now those monuments would bear witness to their folly. The children of the ashes were coming home. They carried with them the memories of a lost world, the resilience forged in the void, and a promise whispered across 1,000 years. We are coming home. The journey through the Arcos belt was a gauntlet. Debris fields, remnants of forgotten battles, and the lingering gravitational anomalies of Saul's death throes tested the limits of their salvaged fleet. But the children of the ashes, born and raised in this graveyard of stars, navigated the treacherous expanse with an instinctual grace. Their lullabies of engine noise and static prayers had prepared them for this. As they emerged from the belt, the vast, ordered expanse of the galactic core lay before them. The architects, alerted to their approach, had mobilized their sterile, crystalline fleets. The ancient empires, their initial shock giving way to a cold, calculated response, dispatched their own forces, expecting to crush this primitive resurgence with overwhelming power. But they underestimated the spark. The first engagement was not a clash of energy weapons, but a battle of wills. The architects attempted to impose their psychic order, to lull the human fleet into a state of passive compliance. But the children of the ashes, their minds steeped in 1,000 years of defiance, their very existence a testament to the refusal to be silenced, met the psychic assault with a roar of raw, untamed emotion. Their collective consciousness, fueled by memory, loss, and the burning desire for home, became a shield, then a weapon. The human ships, though outmatched in technology, fought with a ferocity that bordered on suicidal. They rammed enemy vessels, overloaded their engines for desperate, explosive charges, and utilized salvaged weaponry with brutal efficiency. They were not fighting for conquest, but for existence, for the right to remember, to feel, to be. The architects faltered. Their logic could not account for such irrational, self-destructive bravery. The empires, witnessing the unexpected resilience, began to question their certainty. Then Anya, guided by the fragmented knowledge passed down through generations, activated a device salvaged from the wreckage of a pre-collapse research station. It was designed not for destruction, but for communication, a device capable of broadcasting across all known frequencies, amplified by the very resonance of the Arcos belt survivors. As the battle raged, Anya initiated the broadcast. It wasn't a declaration of war, nor a plea for mercy. It was the cry, amplified 1,000-fold, echoing across the galaxy. It carried the weight of a lost world, the pain of 1,000 years of exile, the fierce love for a home they had never seen, and the unyielding promise of return. It was the voice of humanity, finally breaking the silence the universe had imposed. And as the last stars in the distant reaches of the galaxy seemed to dim in response, it was clear. When the stars fell silent once more, it would be their voice that ended the silence. The amplified cry ripped through the ordered silence of the galaxy like a supernova. It bypassed the sterile logic of the architects and the calculated strategies of the empires, resonating directly with the core of sentient life. Across countless worlds, beings paused. They felt the echo of loss, the sting of forgotten pain, the fierce, burning ember of defiance. For the first time in millennia, the carefully constructed order of the galaxy was fractured by a wave of raw, undeniable emotion. The architects, their crystalline minds struggling to process this unprecedented influx of chaotic data, found their predictive models failing. Their fleets, designed for predictable warfare, were thrown into disarray by the humans' seemingly suicidal tactics and their sheer, unyielding will. The empires, their arrogance shattered, began to see not just a primitive species, but a force of nature unleashed. The battle for the Arcos belt's exit was brutal. The children of the ashes, though suffering heavy losses, fought with the ferocity of cornered predators. Kale, leading a squadron of salvaged interceptors, became a legend in his own time, his ship a blazing comet of defiance that tore through enemy lines. Anya, working tirelessly, managed to disrupt the architect's communication network, sowing confusion and isolating their forces. But it was the collective cry that truly turned the tide. It awakened dormant memories in species that had long forgotten the meaning of struggle. It reminded them of the value of individuality, of the beauty in imperfection, of the fierce, burning desire to simply be. Some, inspired by the human defiance, began to resist their own oppressive regimes. Others, witnessing the architect's faltering control, simply watched, waiting to see who would emerge victorious. The architects, realizing their ordered universe was unraveling, made a desperate decision. They initiated the final phase of their cleansing protocol, a weapon designed to collapse local spacetime, effectively erasing the Arco's belt and the human fleet from existence. But they underestimated the spark. As the spacetime distortion began to ripple outwards, Ilara Voss, now a legendary figure in the human fleet, gave the final command. All ships, focus your core energy. Target the primary architect's nexus. We don't have time for a clean fight. We have a galaxy to wake up. With a final, unified surge of will, the children of the Ashes unleashed their salvaged power. It wasn't a precise strike, but a chaotic, overwhelming wave of raw energy, fueled by 1,000 years of suppressed rage and yearning. The architect's nexus, designed for perfect order, could not withstand the sheer, unbridled force of human emotion. It overloaded, then imploded, sending shockwaves through the architect's collective consciousness and shattering their control. The spacetime distortion faltered, then collapsed, leaving the human fleet battered but victorious. The architects were crippled, their universal order in disarray. The empires, witnessing this monumental shift, began to reassess their place in the galaxy. Humanity, the spark that refused to die, had returned. They had not come with advanced technology or grand pronouncements of peace. They had come with the echoes of their pain, the fire of their resilience, and the unyielding voice that had finally ended the silence. Their journey home had just begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.